Hello everybody and welcome to this video. This is gonna be a Q&A and it's the first one I'm doing, so please let me know how you like it, and I think let's get started. So I have your questions here on my phone. I took them from the post I made on YouTube asking you what kinds of videos I should do or what kinds of other questions you have. And if you have more questions, leave them down below in the comments, because maybe then I'm gonna answer them in my next Q&A, if you like that kind of video. So the first question I'm going to answer is, if you haven't done so already, would you be able to talk about what you were like before minimalism? I made a video about my minimalist journey that I'm gonna link you up here, but I can talk real quick about how I was before minimalism. So I think I became a minimalist around, I would say, 20, when I moved from Switzerland to Germany. I'm a mom and I had my son when I was 18, so then he was 2 years old and we moved to my boyfriend, and I just had to declutter all the stuff I had to be able to move more easily, because we only had one carload and I took a bunch of bags with like the bus. And so I decluttered then, but actually like that idea of minimalism or of a simple looking room I already had when I was a child, because back then I tried to make my room look as simple as possible, and I did declutter from time to time, but you can hear more about that in the video I'm gonna link you up here. The next question is if I could make a home tour, and I actually decided to not do that at the moment, just because this is our private apartment and you are gonna see something here and there, but I'm not gonna make like a full home tour. I'm sorry. The next question is, I just want to know, as you don't own any makeup or any product, how you take care of your skin. By the way, you have such a flawless skin. Thank you. Not always. Sometimes I have a bunch of pimples and things, but I'm super happy that it's not that much at the moment. So yes, I do not own any makeup and none of like the skincare products you would usually use. I just try to drink a lot of water, which I think helps, but I'm not always good at doing that actually. And I try to not touch my face all the time, but I have to say that's actually already it. So my skin is not always perfect, but it's pretty good most of the time, and I'm super thankful for that. But I think I can't really help you here because I don't really do anything. Maybe I'm just lucky. So the next question is how to make people around you who are not minimalists or eco-friendly get a little more involved in it. I made a video about minimalism in relationships that I can link you that up here as well. But in general, I would say it has never worked for me to try to force anybody. I never really tried that, but what I've heard from other people as well. So I would suggest not trying to force anybody, but maybe talk about it with other people, not in a forceful way again, but just what I do, for example, is that if I want to change something up in our household, now I'm very, very lucky that my boyfriend is really into sustainable living as well. I think I started it a bit more, but he never was like against the idea of it, and now he's really on board, and in some areas he wants to be even more sustainable that I am able to be. So yes, I am super lucky with that. But also with my son, I just talk about that. And for example, when he wants an ice cream and I say, no, we're not gonna take like the pre-packaged one, but we're gonna take when you can have ice cream in a cone, zero waste, I'm gonna talk about that to him. I'm just telling him that I do not want to use that extra plastic if we're able to not use it, because the plastic is not good for the environment and it will kill fish and it will make our planet less good to live on. And even though if that's maybe a harsh way, or I just try to explain to him, because I think it's important, and even though he is a kid, it's super important, I think, that he learns about these things. And with minimalism, it's the same. I just talk about it. I think I would, for example, say, oh, can we change that in our living room? Because I would feel a lot better, or I think we don't need that anymore. Would you feel bad if we put the stuff that's in here in there? Because then that's empty and we don't need it anymore. Things like that have happened before. And sometimes we end up decluttering that thing, and sometimes another person in my household, my son or my boyfriend, said, no, I want to keep that. And that's okay as well. I think, we just talking about it in a way that doesn't force anybody or only also talk about it if the other person also wants to talk about it or is open to it. But it's always a good idea, or I think it's always also your right to express how you feel about something. And if something is bothering you, or if you don't feel at home in your home because it's too cluttered, I think there must be a solution that everybody feels good in their home. So the next question is, I have a question. Have you ever regret something you decluttered or downsized? What about sentimental items? Do you have a childhood photo album? I don't think I regret anything that I have decluttered so far. And I do have a childhood photo album. I don't have a photo album, but I keep my photos in a box. I have taken them out of the album just because like that they take up so much less space, and I've decluttered them as well. And I've decluttered other sentimental items as well. And I can, with sentimental items especially, I can understand, or I know the feeling of how it would feel if I would really regret something. And there have been times where I thought for like a minute, oh, should I have kept that? Was that a bad idea to declutter? But after a few weeks, or in general, I don't waste any thoughts on that anymore. And even if I would be sad, I still wouldn't say don't declutter it. I absolutely recommend you take the time you need and never rush decluttering, never decluttering something that you feel like you will regret it later, or maybe just really think about why you feel you would regret that. And yeah, don't force the decluttering process, but as long as you take it kind of easy and take it slow, I don't think it should happen that you regret something later. And I have nothing that I really regret decluttering. And the next question is about how do you resist the pressure to look fashionable, search for expression in clothing, and how do you avoid treating clothes like as collectibles like most people do nowadays? I don't think I have a huge interest in fashion. That's maybe to answer the first part, but expressing myself in clothing, I do that. And I think the thing that I sometimes feel a little bit bad for is that I exchange clothes on a regular basis. I try to keep them as long as they work, and I try to like wear them until they fall apart. But sometimes I have that feeling of like, oh, I want to have something new. I want to have that thing in particular, and just to change things up, to express myself through clothing. And also it's really important to me that I feel good in my clothing items, and that I feel like I look good. Like it's not always the way that is like trendy right now, but I certainly try to have clothing items that I like, that I think that I look good in, that I feel good in. So it's not that I completely resist that, but I really try to do it in the most sustainable way possible, buying things secondhand, giving things to other people that I don't wear anymore, and just also I do try to wear things until they fall apart also. But sometimes it doesn't work because I do really want to exchange something, and I do not want to keep myself from the possibility to exchange something if I really wish to have a new piece in my wardrobe. And then the next question is, I'd love some perspective on how to manage hobbies when trying to maintain a minimalist lifestyle. I find that many hobbies require a certain amount of equipment to get started, but if you decide the hobby doesn't fit you, there is this batch of equipment that has to be divested. Do you approach hobbies with the mindset of priority for finding what hobbies require less physical things? Yes and no. I made a video about hobbies. I can link you the video up here as well. The approach I try to have with hobbies is I try to figure out what they give me. Like I have a certain amount of hobbies. I like handcrafting, I like doing acrobatics and juggling and like circus arts, and I really love photography. And maybe I'm forgetting a few things here, but no, I think these are my hobbies. So photography, for example, I really try to I try to figure out what does it give me? What is the part that makes it so great? What is the part that I want to be doing? And that is like capturing the beauty that I see. So I was able to downsize my equipment drastically because I realized it's not about photography itself too much, about the technical aspect, but I just want to have reliable equipment and one lens that is super light that I can take the photos with that I want to. But now I just have a lens that is something in between a wide angle and normal angle, so I can take pretty much all the photos I want to. Now that is really a really minimalist camera equipment, a camera setup for saying that I have the hobby photography, but it works for me, and I do restrict myself a bit, but that's also a challenge, and it's also so much fun because it does not take away anything from what that hobby can give me, but it's just so much easier to carry around. The same goes for acrobatics and handcrafting. I just try to limit the things that I need for that to a minimum, but to not limit the joy I get out of it. So for acrobatics, I decided to just focus on handstands, because for handstands, I don't need anything. I just need clothes that I feel comfortable in and can move in, and then I can do handstands. And for handcrafting, I just limited the space my handcrafting supplies can take up, and now I just have a few things, and I mostly use it for fixing or altering things, and I don't even do things from scratch, only maybe knitting. So I made a sweater, I made a sun hat, I made a few things, but most of the time I just alter other things I have, so I don't need that fabric, I don't need that supply, but I just use what I get and then alter it so it is what I want it to be. But I think as a minimalist, you can totally have hobbies. I would try to not have maybe 20 hobbies, and I would also try to maybe borrow the things if you start a new hobby to see if it's really something that you enjoy, and then you can buy equipment, or if you see that you really need more, to not start with everything you could possibly need, but just start with a little bit, see if it's something that you really like to do, and then of course you can invest in equipment, because everybody's life is different, everybody's minimalist life is different, and so you can decide if half of your possessions is hobby gear, if that makes you happy, or even 90%. And that's what I think. So but for me it also helps to limit the space a certain hobby can take up. That is just another tip. So that the equipment for that hobby is not overflowing the whole apartment. Another person asks about my minimalist wardrobe and how I do laundry so that it doesn't like take up more space and or like time and energy to do laundry more often. So the way I do laundry is just my boyfriend, my son and me, we wash our things together, and we wash whenever one load of laundry is full. So that's just, for me, that's the smallest effort possible. So we just let it pile up in the bathroom. Whenever we think one load is full, we wash it, and then it starts again. And that's usually about every 4 to 6 days, I think. And it just depends. Maybe if we change our bed sheets, it's an extra load, of course, but that's just what works for us. And I do totally wear things more than one time, because I don't see a need to wash them if they're not dirty or if they don't smell. But of course, underwear, for example, I change every day. Another great question is, I was wondering how you deal with comparison with people who have a lot. Is that a struggle for you or not? Actually, I don't think it is. Sometimes it will happen that I see something another person has and think, oh, that would be a great thing in my life. But in general, I feel better with less things. So for me, it's sometimes maybe also that I see other minimalists sharing what they own, and then I think, I want to own even less. So it's more in that direction. I just try to focus on what makes me happy, what makes my life better. And like that, I think I don't need to compare myself. Sometimes maybe I do compare myself. I really try to be by myself and try to look at my life and try to look at how I can change my life to make it more the way I want it to have. And sometimes other people are an inspiration for that. Sometimes I think, oh, that is really a good idea. I want to change my life in that direction. But most of the time I'm actually happy with how my life is. Maybe just I would want to travel more. But I see why this is not possible right now. And so I don't think I compare myself too much, or that I have a huge problem with that. Another thing that some people have asked is about my minimalist kitchen, and I don't know if I will do a video about that, but just to let you know, I've seen your questions. I haven't come around to ask them right now because I think it would be too complicated in this video, but maybe I will do more videos about that. I think I made one about minimalist cooking that I can link you up here as well. And these were all the questions for today. There are no more, or I answered them in other videos, or wanted to do videos about that. So leave your questions in the comments below so I can make another Q&A if you're interested. And thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more, I link you a video and a playlist right here. And I hope to see you next time. Bye!